Well, hello there, and welcome once again to my little arty corner of the internet. Thank you for returning if you've visited before and you like what I'm doing. If you're new here, you're most welcome. I hope you enjoy the art that I share with you, and that you'll consider subscribing, putting a thumbs up for the video, and even clicking the notifications button so you get alerted when I release a video, which is just about every day. And it'd be lovely if you could share the video with people who you also think would like it, because, you know, if you think it's a good thing and you're enjoying drawing along or getting ideas, then I think it'll be lovely to share it with other people. But that may just be me. This page is beginning to get rather busy and full. I've only got a little bit of space, so I'm thinking that today may be the last day I share drawing with you. And another pattern started tomorrow, possibly, maybe. Let's have a look. What I haven't done much of here is anything to do with more of the outside shapes, I think. So I am going to fill the inside with something. I've got no idea what, mind you, but you know. Oh, right, okay. We've got, it looks like there's an orb, a ball behind a framework here. Now I do need to just pop that around there. Now what I am thinking, possibly, is I had this on my mind yesterday and it's still on my mind today, of getting these sort of shapes that look like horns, I suppose, or hats, jester hats almost, coming down on the outside. I could have started further up, but this is something I don't find that easy to do, surprise. But I just thought it could look quite fun. I can't remember which pattern in the Tangle Patterns Challenge, the Inktober one last month, this reminds me of. I know I drew it there, but for the life of me I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure somebody will mention it in the comments and remind me. Yes, I could go and find the sketchbook and go, oh look, it was that one, but I haven't. This is beginning, this kind of pipe worky stuff is actually becoming a favourite kind of stem for mine. I think I'll have to try to work that into some of the drawings I've been doing for Adorable Dogs. That actually is pretty funky, I think so. But I think what I'm also going to do is just put something there, because that feels a bit more finished at the top. And because, well, why not? And going to even add something more at the top because I can. I really like that. Okay, have you been using the teardrop shape with the pointy bit at the top? What about the pointy bit at the bottom? I guess it looks more like a petal that way, but I really don't want a petal per se. I'm going to put a chunky stem on because I do like a chunky stem. I keep saying that. But what I want to do, I think, is I am going to slap a smaller version inside. And I am going to, again, that one's a bit bigger than the other one, but that's fine. These might cross over, which will be a bit of a pain. Work with it. That's worked out quite interestingly. If I had more space, I could have made them curve up really like horns. Sad horns, happy horns, perhaps. Okay, and I still want this to look like it's got seeds in, I suppose. So I'm just going to do that like this. I don't think I did anything particularly after yesterday's video on this page, but I have been doing some drawing, which I will show you at the end of the video, because I thought I'm doing all of these drawings here. It's about time I made use of them, perhaps. Now I do like these because the outside means that this becomes a completely different shape of seed pod without it beginning to look like a flower, because I decided at the beginning of this I'm not turning these into petals and flowers if I can help it. I want them to have that three-dimensional form, like they've got seeds inside or something else going on. This is fun, turning it upside down. So let's try doing this in another way. And I am going to do oh, it's like a very strange croissant now. I can live with that. And just going to put square bits in there. This one, I think I will pop that in there, and I'm going to do the curved lines to make it look as if it's sticking out, and I'll add shadow or whatever to them afterwards. That's quite long and thin, isn't it? Short and fat would work quite nicely, or short and wide, I should say. So talking of short and wide, it's a bit, you know, strange shapes there, but I can live with that. That would work quite nicely as well. So I think this one would work quite nicely. Perhaps something that vaguely looks like a stamen or a seed on the top there, so it's encased within. Is it Twi'leks in no, it's not Twi'leks in Star Wars, but there's another creature that has sort of like long things that come out, and I think they've got some structure, not always though, but yeah, reminds me of that. A little head inside this huge collar. Yeah, it's sort of like minds will make things up. Okay, I've got a couple more spaces. We do a very, as I'm working on them, going this way. What you say? Floral? No, not at all. Because that middle one will have some seeds in it. Absolutely will. So I've got these here, and then I'm going to do this kind of idea, but to curve it around this bulbous shape at the bottom. Interesting. But there are there's lots of little spaces left here for some other Eetings if I come up with them, but there's some more ideas for today. Now then, what do I do here? Do I add colour? Shall I add some shadow? It's so hard to know what to do, isn't it? I've put the brown Zig Writer pens away, but I've got this one out. I've got a grey Zig Writer pen which I was using somewhere else, but as soon as you start to put sort of like some kind of texture in the background, suddenly things begin to come to life, don't they? They do. Even something as simple as putting a little shadow line perhaps even some stippling starts to bring things to life. Okie dokes. I really like that shape. I really do like that shape, I have to say that. And I'll say it again and again, I really like that shape. This one is going to be interesting because I think I'm going to add colour. I'm going to add it to this big circular thing in the middle. So I want to add shadow around the outside to separate it, to make it a distinctly different object, as if it's above background. But what I also want to do is to add some extra weight to this line, to make the line thicker, so I get that feeling that there's something quite solid going on. I'm going to go back to my other pen because I'm going to do the same to this side of the seed pod, so it looks like this is recessed into it as well. Start from just around the bottom, and then this one, if I make that thicker, it just gives me that feeling. That's interesting. By adding extra thickness to lines, it often reminds me of where I enjoyed sculpting clay. It's sort of like you can work clay by building it up or by taking things away, and I made tiles by doing a bit of both, really, by both adding clay and then sculpting it. And that sculpting of clay is where you really get the volume going, and I feel it's similar. I get a similar feeling when I use pen to thicken lines, to give that feeling of there being an edge in shadow there. I'm doing the same elsewhere where things would be in shadow. You know, you can use shadow and highlight as Zentangle do as a pattern, which is often what I sort of do, except I tend to stick to a light source at the top right, so I put shadow on the bottom and left, and it is a repeating pattern, and it makes sense across the whole of a design then, because you haven't. But then it's fun to change that, because instead of having things disappearing and, you know, popping out from the background, it looks like they disappear into. Yeah, how to confuse people. It's so much easier to describe it. It's like here, that black line this side and the black line that side, it makes it look like this has a thickness and it's above these. It helps to separate it, but it also means that it lifts it off this space in the background. And I'm going to use the brown pen again just to add some very simple stripes, lines here, which work just as well to add shadow, or that sense that that part is in shadow, as anything else. And there's my fine black. I'm just going to add some little dots under there, here and here. I'm just going to add black lines, and that starts to add some sense of dimension there. What I didn't do yesterday was to add, did I? Can't see it. So this wasn't dry, so it's time to perhaps add some white here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put dots along the outermost arc of, if I can see it, which I can't always because, you know, the lines of the pale brown have just about faded away into the background. But that's okay because on the outside edges you won't have as much in the way of highlights. And the darker brown lines, it's easier to see. If I'd used something like a white glaze pen or a souffle pen, let it dry before I added the colour, then the colour would have washed around them, and in fact it would have settled around the outer edge of that dot and really helped with some darkness around it. Because sometimes white pen just looks a bit mechanical, contrived in its way. So that really helps. Here it will really help as well, especially if I put quite a large, I'm going to put some in the in between bits as well, because the background colour of the paper is there, and even though the white won't appear as bright and stark against it, it will help to lift it. These, some little dots needed just to lift them up. The trick with jelly roll, if you're using water soluble media to colour, is not to work too much with the jelly roll pen, is to try to let the gel ink flow out and just leave it. You work it too much and you're going to end up with it picking the colour up and ending up with white that is no longer white. This one really does need highlights because this is just about disappeared into the background, and these have too. So all these little touches are what help to bring things to life, drawings to life. It's the attention to detail that makes something, I guess, more believable in its way. With these dots, I'm trying to put them right on the edge of that dark line, just so that there's that real contrast there. And the same here. It's not always easy to do, especially where there's not a lot of space between the lines, but that's fine. If it goes over one of the black lines, it helps to break this up as well. And as I go around here and everything's all pretty much grey, just realised I didn't put my seat back up high. A bit too close to the paper for my glasses. I booked an appointment to the opticians. I'm overdue my 2-year checkup, and I think the earliest appointment I could get is a month and a half away. So, but it's done now. So there's just some highlights there. So I'll add colour to these, and I most probably will spend much of the rest of my day today doing that, because I've got 21 out of 31 templates sketched at least. There's a couple of them are finished and done, a couple of them are sketched, and I think I've got 21 done. There's one there I'm not too sure about. In fact, there's a couple I'm not too sure about, but it's up to the editorial team now to say yay or nay to them. I need to send the batch off I've done this week. So I'm well ahead of that. I had a migraine this morning, and so I'm feeling a bit migraine-y still, and tired, but I've got some work done. see how I feel in a bit, maybe after lunch. But I thought, I'm drawing all of these things, which is lovely. It's fantastic. I'm so enjoying doing this because I can do as little or as much as I like on a page. There's no pressure on me like there is if I'm doing a drawing, a piece of artwork that it needs to be completed, which is a fantastic thing. But I'm thinking, I've not used all of these, many of these in artwork. So while some headache pills were beginning to work this morning, I thought I'd do some drawing. And so this is an A4 page, so it's twice as big as the one there. And you can see some of the seed pods, you know, my entings. Entings? They're not entings, they're eatings. Entings are in Lord of the Rings. Good grief, Angela. I've used ones a bit like this, with the mook around and just those curved shapes. But I've used a grey pen to add some pattern and texture here. And when I add colour shading, which I intend to do on this, because I'm treating this almost like an experimental piece to see how I can work things. I seem to have lost my way in my own personal art a bit. Been quite dissatisfied with what I've been doing of late. Then these will become just part of that colour. They won't be quite obvious. The same here. Shattuck. I just go for it. It's just one of my favourites. I've used it for years before I knew it was a Zen-tackle pattern. So there we are. It's common in many things. You can see there's the mucas here. I've got these leaves coming out here because I do enjoy a leaf. Oddly, there's only 4 of them. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, there's 5. I do like odd numbers. Got some shells. Here I've got my second pattern I did, which was the one that's very much like a flower, like Morning Glory or a Columbine, we call them over here. I haven't got any of my very first pattern in, which is sort of like a sister of Oysteroid, I suppose, and beans and so on. But I'll work it in because I've got lots of the pattern to do. But I've started looking at how I can fill spaces here. I've filled this bit of space underneath this arch with something, because this arch was going off at a very strange angle, and I thought, I need to do something there to make it feel like it belongs. Let's join it with a pattern. Over here I've put some ghostly holly bough in there, holly bough. Planks overlaying one another. It's quite a simple pattern to draw, but it adds a lot of depth. So that's going to come to life again. Shadowing around here is really going to help lift that up. And I like to have these wavy edges sometimes. That's a favourite pattern that appears often in my work. It has done. I'm familiar with it more from early Celtic art, the teniculture art, than I am from anything else. So yeah, and I've got my very architectural or mechanical kinds of stems in, but there's spaces in between, and do I leave them blank? Do I come back and just add colour, or am I going to add ghostly texture to them? Ghostly textural pattern? I don't know is the answer. But just to show how I put them together. It's quite a short video today, which I think some of you will be very grateful for, but I hope you've enjoyed it. As I've said, I'm going to spend some of this afternoon now time with the Eetings and get that page finished away from the camera. This I'll carry on working on over the next few days, no doubt. I'll add things to it. And I'll just say thank you. If you've made it through to the end, well done. Sadly, there's no badges or prizes for it, but other than my heartfelt thanks that you enjoy my videos. Once again, if you have enjoyed it, please press the thumbs up. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. If you want to be notified whenever I release a video, which is most days, I think I'm going to have to set a particular time in the day, so you do know, so you're not waiting or trying to guess it. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but notifications mean that when I post, you'll get notification. And if you know other people who might enjoy the video, please share. Until we see each other again, which will be sometime tomorrow afternoon, my time here in the UK. Take care, look after yourselves, and please find time to be creative. Bye for now. Bye.